G'day guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel Nintendo Down Under, collecting in 2019. Now, you have to ask yourself, if you want to be a collector in 2019, where do I start? First of all, you need to figure out what you want to be. Do you want to collect everything? Do you want to collect certain games and rare games? Do you want to collect complete in box? Do you want to collect loose card? Do you want to collect for value? Do you want to collect for money? There's so many different avenues of collecting. You have to work out what's best for you. A lot of collectors out there do like to collect just the rare games. They get the rare games and that's enough for them. Some collectors out there want absolutely everything. They want every game, every console, every controller, everything you can find. Me personally, I don't have a way of collecting. That's just the way I like to go. I'm not going to say, yep, I found the 50 most rarest games on the Nintendo 64 and I'm done. I don't want to collect anymore. If I walk past a game store, a garage sale, or see a good price online for a game I don't have, then I'll add it to my collection. I'm not here to make money. I don't flip things. A lot of collectors out there might buy doubles or three of things and sell it off for a more expensive price to fund their collection. I'm not really into that. I just like collecting for the fun of it, not to make money. I just haven't got the time and patience for that. I just want to do this for fun. I don't want to stress myself out about trying to find more money and flip things, but for people that do that, that's okay. That's just not my way of doing things. So you've decided to start collecting and you've got nothing. Where do you start? Well, an easy way to start yourself off to make your collection grow quite quickly is going for things that aren't quite that expensive at the moment. You can go into your local EB Games or GameStops, wherever you are around the world, and find lots of PS3 games, Xbox 360 and Wii games for really, really cheap. You can find buy two, get one free, a lot of discounted prices for these games, and they're really cheap. You can build your collection really fast and not spending too much money on all these sorts of games. Yes, they're not really sought after collecting games now, but you know, I think eventually some of these games will be. Because they're accessible in game stores, they're not really that expensive and there's no nostalgic feel about it. But eventually when your EB Games, say in Australia, and your GameStop in US decide that we're not going to have these games anymore, we're going to clear them out, we're going to do a real big discount, we're going to say, right, you buy 4 get 2 free because we want to get rid of this stuff now. Once those games aren't available in your gaming stores anymore, then you'll find that yes, the prices of these games will start going up. So if you can load up now on your Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, something for that matter, Wii games, then you'll have a substantial collection already. And if you want to buy doubles of things to make money eventually, then yes, you might be able to do that when you can only buy these things online, because then the nostalgic feel will come in. Then holy shit, these games aren't available anymore. People might want to start collecting them. So yes, at the time, it might not be that exciting to buy all these different sort of Wii games and PS3 games are just getting dumped out. But eventually people might want these games and you have them. Another thing to consider, if you like the DS, the 3DS, probably now's the time to definitely load up on that. The 3DS's day is definitely done. With the Switch now and the mini Switch coming out, everything handheld, the 3DS handheld is definitely on its way out. So you can again go into game stores, and I've seen deals for buy 2 get 1 free and discounted games. Definitely load up on these. There are some fantastic games on the DS. There's hundreds and hundreds really, and you can load up that as well, and eventually you watch that will be quite collectible as well. So all of a sudden, go forward 12 months time from now, you might have a really good handheld collection of games. You might have a fantastic Xbox or PlayStation, Wii games, and people are after these things, and you've got them, and you can look back and say, you know what, that hard work I did 12 months ago, now I've got a cool collection. Yes, it may not be your GameCubes or N64, stuff like that, but that's a different sort of collecting. You're collecting for now. You've got to think long term sometimes, and that's a great way to think long term. Another tip for thinking long term is sometimes being boring is better. I'll use this white WiiU 8GB console. So it's only a plain white one. It's only got 8GB instead of 32. It's got no preloaded games. It's not special editions. Quite boring. So when you're going out to buy a WiiU, say 24 months ago, or a bit longer, you wouldn't have gone to really pick this one. You would have wanted a 32GB one. You would have wanted some preloaded games. So as a collector, this can be quite sought after eventually. You know, it's not that exciting, but if you're a hardcore completist collector, then if you've got this in your collection, someone who is a hardcore completist collector might say, hey, I don't have that, and it might be worth a fair bit of money because people will be searching for it because it wasn't as popular at the time. Something to consider. One of my good friends actually, who's not really a gamer, collected the mini NES with the controller, collected the mini SNES, has a PS1 classic edition. He has them tucked away in a box under his bed. He's never opened them, he's never going to use them. He's thinking long term. If they bring out a mini 64 or anything else like that, he'll buy it, add it to his collection, and never touch it. His plan is in 10, 20, 30 years time to sell this off as a big bundle of the minis. Never used, never touched, never played. You know, that might be a great investment. If the minis aren't accessible or what the future holds in 10, 20, 30 years time, and he's got these, then he might be sitting on a little bit of a gold mine. It might not work out that way, but it's worth the risk. It wasn't that much money at the time. So that's another thing to consider as well. So what if you don't want Xbox or PlayStation, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii stuff, you want the old retro stuff? Well, to be quite plain, yes, it can be very expensive. There are ways around it though. If you don't want complete in box, you just want the games on their own, then yes, you can probably pick up GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, games like this for not too bad a price if you look around. If you want those games complete in box, that's another story. And also, if you want to have a complete collection of games, some of the crappier games that aren't, not crappier games, not the best games, can be really expensive. So you have to consider that as well. If you want those really expensive games, definitely loosen cart, because some of the complete in box games can go for $1,000 plus. Also, that's a lot of money to spend on just one game. Another thing to consider when you're collecting: don't compare yourself to other people. On Instagram, I see a lot of my American friends going to garage sales, going to thrift shops, and finding games in stores, finding 64 games in garage sales. Here in Australia, that doesn't happen. That would happen very, very rare. It might have happened a while ago, but I've been to so many garage sales and I've found nothing. Absolutely nothing. You go into your secondhand stores, Goodwill stores, and you might be lucky to find a Wii Sports or some sports PlayStation game. That's probably as best as it gets. So if you're on Instagram like me and you're looking at what other people are finding for really cheap in different parts of the world, then don't. You have to consider where you're living, what money you have, and how you collect. I'm very jealous of those people, don't get me wrong. I'd love to be able to go out hunting and come home with a box full of games in my boot that I've found on the day. It just doesn't happen like that. It's a real grind sometimes, but you have to consider, is it worth it to you and what sort of collector you're going to be. So that's about it for today's video, guys. Collecting in 2019, it varies from person to person. You just have to work out what you want to do and what's best for yourself personally. If you haven't already, don't forget to like us on Facebook, Nintendo Down Under. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Nintendo Down Under. Thank you very much for being involved in today's video, and as always, take care.